So some big new tangible Nintendo Switch 2 news has actually recently appeared online, and it has to do with supply chain manufacturers essentially having an investor shareholder meeting like we report on from Nintendo themselves. But this info is not coming from Nintendo, but rather the same kind of investor Q&A, aka the type of meetings you can't lie in, and you do have to be transparent with your investors for the kind of business that you are running and the kind of profits you can expect to see as a company. You are trying to convey that to your investors directly, and we have a company that is a supplier for Nintendo Switch currently, and actually all of the major gaming consoles going on record stating that their business is going to recover in a big way in this current fiscal quarter that they are in, which ends in September 2024, due to new orders of new models of systems from the big three manufacturers, and specifically new Switch models being named within this report. So it is a massive deal that they are essentially confirming that mass manufacturing will indeed begin soon for Nintendo's next gen hardware. And we also have an industry analyst taking to the internet that I would say is making more or less a general statement and claim that's in line with what almost anybody would predict in terms of Nintendo's release pricing and timing strategy around this thing. So we're gonna get on the same page with both of these new reports in today's video. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first start off by hopping over to Universo Nintendo, where you can see the following detailed typed up article around Switch 2's manufacturing reports following this most recent financial investor briefing with a Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturer. Nintendo console component supplier indicates mass production for a new model will start in the current quarter. TaiwanInc.com based semiconductor manufacturer Trentendo Semiconductor recently released its financial results and plans for the coming months. As reported by Money DJ, the company highlighted through a comment made by its CEO that orders involving video game consoles will recover in the third quarter, including initial shipments of new PlayStation 5, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch models. Taking into account that the three systems mentioned already have orders in progress, the citation of new models refers to unreleased products of the three companies, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, that are planned to be manufactured / assembled on a large scale throughout the company's current fiscal quarter, which began in July and is expected to end in September 2024. Trentendo Semiconductor is a contracted manufacturer for Nintendo to supply the power delivery PD controller IC component, an integrated chip IC designed to manage communication and power control in systems that use the USB power delivery USB-PD standard used by the current Nintendo Switch. In addition to the long-awaited successor to the Nintendo Switch, a PlayStation 5 Pro and a new version of the Xbox Series X are expected to be launched soon on the market, emphasizing the CEO's speech when referring to the new console models of each system mentioned. And then one exact quote from this article that has been translated over on Fami boards reads as follows: although Trentendo is not privy to the exact release timing of the new Nintendo model, the customer has begun calling in shipments from upstream suppliers in advance. The component has now successfully entered the mass production stage. So obviously the reason this is a big deal is we have a major partner for all the big game consoles going on record to their investors, just straight up saying that yeah, they're entering mass production for new models of game consoles that do not exist today, and that includes a new Nintendo Switch model, which is not just something like the shell casing change for a Nintendo Switch Lite like we're expecting to see launch alongside of Echoes of Wisdom in September. No, they are talking specifically of new model consoles with new orders coming through from their partner Nintendo. And the reason that entering mass manufacturing is a big deal is not only does that mean that yeah, the system's around the corner from being revealed and ultimately sold, and we don't know how long Nintendo may go through mass production this time around, because they have been commenting in their own investor briefings that the way they're planning to fight scalpers this time around and kind of a console shortage is just to basically have enough on hand that you will be able to essentially meet the demand of the consumers going out there, so you're not fighting, bots online and scalping prices of basically double or triple the console's actual MSRP. That's how Nintendo's going to plan to do this, so it doesn't mean like we're necessarily right in line for an immediate launch window as soon as March, although after March is now sounding like the most likely option. But it's also a big deal because when something goes into mass manufacturing from a product line perspective, things are going to leak out. out. People are going to sneak photos behind the scenes and leak them online. We saw the Nintendo Switch Lite casing before we ever knew it was a thing. There were so many manufacturing leaks tied to the Nintendo Switch itself. Like, we're going to see potentially legit images of what this console looks like from its shell pretty soon, and Nintendo is well aware of that. And so when you start to ramp up a console into mass production, you sometimes want to get out ahead of those leaks and just make the official announcement. We even just yesterday saw Nintendo take to the internet with a direct presentation for their museum, and they had to go out of their way to mention once again that no mention of the successor Nintendo Switch console will be at this showcase. And my idea has always been around the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement timing, when they said they're going to reveal the successor to the Switch in this current fiscal year. That happened all the way back in May, and I don't believe that Nintendo would have announced it that soon, that they were going to be announcing it within this fiscal year. If they were going to wait all the way until the tail end of March next year just to reveal the thing, it's sounding more and more likely that a reveal this year is on the table and could realistically go live at any time. We also had those reports from PH Brazil that a lot of things have been moved up in terms of Nintendo's planned marketing for the Switch 2, and that multiple presentations that were originally scheduled for September got moved to August. That direct presentation for the museum could have easily been one of those, and that means two things. We might be able to expect another Nintendo Direct presentation, maybe a mini partner showcase by the end of this month in August, and it could also mean that Nintendo is kind of clearing the way for their regular announcement schedule because they have something big cooking, like a first look trailer at their next gen hardware. The other piece of Switch 2 news that's being discussed online that I do want to briefly reference, but as I mentioned, is kind of like a no-brainer, like you could make this prediction whether you're an analyst or not, but we do have a well-respected analyst actually taking to the internet to kind of throw out their predictions on what Nintendo is going to be doing in terms of the launch timing and the price of this console. And again, these are obvious guesses in my opinion, and something that's, really anybody who follows Nintendo news could come up with themselves. But nonetheless, it is a respected industry analyst. They oftentimes have inside knowledge, but they can't actually straight up say that. So you have the following report over on My Nintendo News, which reads, Toyo Securities analyst Switch 2 to be released first half of 2025 and for under $500. Toyo Securities analyst Hideki Yasuda has recently spoken about the Nintendo Switch 2 and is of the opinion that it will be released in the first half of 2025, and it will likely be priced at under $499.99. Yasuda expects it to be roughly as powerful as Sony's PlayStation 4 or PS4 Pro system. Nintendo has yet to reveal further details on the successor to the popular Nintendo Switch system, though has said that it will share further details about it before the end of March of 2025. Now, Takahashi Mochizuki also made a post about this, saying Toyo Securities analyst Hideki Yasuda says Nintendo's next gen would come first half of next year. GamesIndustry.biz previously said it wouldn't come this fiscal year. That means the launch would be sometime between April and June 2025. Now, to first tackle the price point projection, like obviously I think he's giving himself a little bit of extra playroom there. Like, Nintendo's not going to price this thing at $500, at least I don't believe they will, unless if they have something like two different models, and let's say one of them is an OLED at launch and it has more internal system memory, and the other one is just an LCD screen, and then maybe that's why you get like a $450 and a $500 price point, or even a $399 and a $499 price point, but one of them is the more premium flagship model, like as far as all the bells and whistles and handheld mode with an OLED display and things. But short of that, I don't think we see Nintendo go anywhere near that high. I actually think that $399 and maybe as high as $449, if there is a premium model or a memory upgrade model available, would probably be as far as they go, because that $500 price point is competing directly with the PS5 and Series X at that point, and Nintendo likes to typically price their hardware as low as possible for the average consumer to be able to have a chance to afford, and I really don't think that they go higher than $400, but I do think the $400 is a likely price point we will see this next gen hardware launch at. And in terms of the timing, while nothing's confirmed, following these mass manufacturing reports that we have now, and that Nintendo continues to talk about this Switch successor on their social media accounts, taking to the internet to remind people that they're not going to mention it in a direct presentation, like I don't think they're going to do that for a whole nother year until the end of March next year. Like, I do definitely believe at this point that we are going to see a reveal happen this calendar year before the end of the year. It could slide into something like January, but then you turn that into a April, May, or June launch, and that is, very plausible. And first half of 2025 makes a lot of sense. If we're waiting till holiday 2025, Nintendo Switch sales will continue to dwindle, and Nintendo will lose some of that momentum that they have going right now with decent quarter-over-quarter results, even though we're seeing the Switch massively slow down. We're not seeing big blockbuster games announced for the current Switch anymore. Like last year, we had Tears of the Kingdom and Mario Bros. Wonder drop. We're seeing smaller scale games, a top-down Zelda game, Echoes of Wisdom, Mario Party Jamboree, which is going to be a big deal from a sales perspective. And then we have Mario and Luigi Brothership, which I think will perform decently, but it's no big blockbuster games to kind of walk away and say Nintendo's really pulling out all the stops to try to move console sales. Like, the shift is going to be focusing on their next gen hardware, and it's very clear that they are okay with mentioning it time and time again online. You line that up with analysts saying that it'll be first half of 2025. You also have all these mass manufacturing reports and hard concrete evidence that Nintendo is starting to produce this thing. It's only a matter of time before we learn about it and before we actually see some leaks make it out of these various factories that will ultimately start putting this stuff together. But that's where I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you make of these reports? Do you think that this new mass manufacturing report is indeed good evidence that Nintendo Switch 2 will be revealed sometime soon? And are you expecting that reveal to happen before the end of this calendar year in 2024? Or do you think Nintendo might wait until January or February of next year to reveal it? And what do you think about the analyst claim that for sure the system's going to be under $500 and also launch in the first half of 2025? Are you excited for that news? Or are you somebody who actually does think that Nintendo may ride it out all the way until holiday 2025 season before they launch their successor to the current Switch? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.